You can take up to 5 6-week courses per term for just $45 total.
Hello, everybody.
To join our email list, just go to our Palm Desert website. This is what our website looks like. To receive our course registration email updates, simply join our email list. You can sign up today via your mobile device. Once you are on the LAR Palm Desert website, and scroll down and you will see Join Our Email List. Enter your first and last name and your email address. Then click on the green Join button. Enjoy today's presentation.
Hi, I'm Jerry Blatt, President of Learning and Retirement, also known as LAR. I forgot about this, everything that was on this video, so I might hit 1 or 2 points again. Dr. Phil Kibort is our speaker today, and he's a teacher and a board member of LAR. Phil was trained as a pediatrician who specialized in gastroenterology, but his passion is American presidential history, also other kinds of history. He teaches a class on the Holocaust. LAR has been offering classes tailored for seniors for nearly 30 years. This January, it'll be 30 years in the desert. Our fall semester is on right now, and the 6-week winter session begins on January 5th. That semester will include 40 different courses. 12 years ago, when I first came to LAR, we only had 12 courses. Now we're going to have 40. Anyway, the registration will open on December 15th exclusively at our website, larpalmdesert.org. So the classes are a great value. You can enjoy up to 5 different courses for a total cost of just $45. Classes are 2 hours long and meet once a week for 6 weeks. Well, sometimes what I say is that it works out to $1.50 a session. Anybody that goes to Costco knows a hot dog and a Coke at Costco is $1.50. There is nothing else that's $1.50 except LAR classes. So many of the classes are on Zoom. Others are located in our live classrooms at the shopping mall on 111 in Monterey. So the complete winter schedule, that's the one that starts on January 5th, is available right now on our website. You can view it on larpalmdesert.com. It's on the home page, and if you go to the pull-down menu, you can see the current fall schedule. You can see the teachers' bios. There's every bit of information you want. When you look at the bios, it's really impressive, the quality of the people that we have teaching for us. And the thing that's totally remarkable, I don't know if this is being true for any other educational operation, everybody with us works for free. Nobody is paid. None of the teachers, none of the support staff. I don't get paid. Of course, I shouldn't get paid. But the point is, we're a small business and we're working very efficiently, and it's all because it's for passion and purpose. The people who are doing this are there because they really want to be there. So when you go to larpalmdesert.com, you can sign up for the emails. I promise you, you will not get a whole bunch of junk emails. We're very careful not to send out more emails than we need to. During the summer, you might get 2. And this is the time of the year when we only send them out as reminders for registration, and we never sell your email list. And we don't ask you for money other than the $45. One of the things we do with that $45, aside from running our operation, we donate $2,000 a year to the scholarship fund at COD. And this year, for the first time, we're donating $10,000 to another scholarship for needy kids in the desert. What other operation who offers classes also gives money away? Isn't that amazing? So that's all I got. Phil Kibort, take it away. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. And I'm a talker and a walker, so I'm going to be walking in front of you. I don't like being up at a podium. So if you can't hear me later, just raise your hand and just go by your ears so I know if you're not hearing me well. So I do want to thank Jerry. I started teaching at LIR about 4 years ago, and it's true. People who teach have a passion for what they're teaching, and they're quite enthused. So I'd recommend it. And like he said, it's $1.50 at most per class, and it's well worth it. The Yeah, and Jerry's background was marketing, and he forgot that. Let's go on. So we're going to talk about today's topic is about the health secrets of United States presidents, things we knew, but a lot of things we didn't know. And my question for you is, would it have made a difference? Well, let's begin. Now, the first thing I did, I came in here and the people said, well, you're probably not going to talk about the last 2 presidents. Yes, I am. But we're going to talk in sort of chronological order, so we're going to come back. But it has become, and I will tell you now, I have a liberal bent. I'm much more a Democrat than a Republican. But when it comes to U.S. presidential history, I have learned to enjoy every one of our presidents. They have amazing stories, amazing histories. And so when it comes to health, I'm pretty neutral. But I'm going to tell you, this is relevant to us. We've just gone through our 46th president who probably had evidence of dementia. He may have denied it, and we'll get to him towards the end. But even the most recent president also has physical ailments going on right now too. So let's talk about it. Are we entitled as voters to know the medical histories of our presidents? Okay, you all say yes. So if one of them has erectile dysfunction, should I know that? I don't know why I'm looking at you, but I should look at you, right? I don't know. Anyhow, so should we know that? I mean, the question becomes, should we be allowed to know? All right? What level of access should we have? Does it matter? Do you all believe it matters? Okay, I will show you in our histories where you didn't think it mattered. Okay, some past presidents were really sick and it didn't seem to make a bit of difference. Okay. All right, what I don't do, let me go back. And can you give me an example where it might have helped to know? Other than Biden, right now, any other president, it might have helped you to know his physical ailments. Reagan, okay, well, we'll get to there. All right. Normally, what I would do, I also teach this class in Minnesota, in the suburb, and I usually have a piece of paper handout asking you to match the health problem with the president, but we're going to skip that. All right. Today, you're all going to be my medical students. So I was a peds gastroenterologist. I did that. We have another pediatrician here, Jan Berger, another pediatrician, also peds. I don't know what's with pediatricians. We're such nice people. We are just, Anyhow, are there other, and I know I have a nurse, any other clinicians, people who are clinicians, raise your hand. You don't have to be embarrassed. You were a clinician? Okay. The reason I'm saying that is when I'm going to ask questions of the group, I want the clinicians to count to 5 before you give an answer. Because I want the other people to sort of make the diagnosis. So the rest of you today are going to be medical students, and I'm going to present some symptoms to you, and you tell me what disease you think it is, and then we'll talk about which president had it. All right? So let's go. Are any of you doctors? Here's our case number 1, students. Case number 1. The symptoms are occurring very rapidly. I'm feeling sicker and sicker. I'm having difficulty swallowing. I have to lean forward because I'm sort of drooling. My voice has changed. I'm very hoarse. I have a high fever. I have to lean forward to be comfortable. I'm starting to turn blue. What's the problem? Okay, no clinicians yet. Where's the area that you think is, just as a med student, what part of the body is having problems? Heart, let's go a little higher. Up into closer to your windpipe and where you're swallowing, okay? Turning blue, all right? Choking, can't swallow, all right. What does this person have? This person has epiglottitis, inflammation of the epiglottis. And so let's look at that picture over in front of you. The right lower corner is what an epiglottis, that's that little thing that goes over your windpipe. So when you eat food, food doesn't go down your windpipe. It should look nice and pink like it does on the bottom. But in this individual, this is what it would have looked like, that beet hot red. And it's so inflamed that air can't get down into the windpipe. All right? So then, let's see if this works. Right there, pediatricians, what is that? Pediatrician, what did I just show? Jan, you're going to have to prove to me you know what you're talking about. Well, what is that? Oh, you should remember from your training. Epiglottitis causes a thumbprint when you look at an x-ray, it looks like a thumbprint where that arrow is. You remember that? Did you have to take your boards? All right. So if you see that, all right. So which president had epiglottitis and died from it? Old George. Okay, George Washington. Our first president from 89 to 97, 1700, lived till 1799. Right after him, we start having our political parties. He goes out on horseback December 12, 1799. He's no longer president. He's back at Mount Vernon. It's cold. It's rainy. He loves being out on his horse. He doesn't feel good. He gets fever. He gets a red throat, unable to talk. What did we do in those days? We bled him out. We took almost 40% of his blood volume. We thought taking out blood would make you feel better. I don't know why we thought that. Actually, next year I am going to be teaching a course on the history of medicine. So we'll talk about bloodletting in that one. They gave him calomel, which is actually mercury. You tried to make him vomit so that maybe he could breathe better. It was called Quincy. That's what we called it when it was involved up there. You remember the show Quincy? All right, there's the name. One of the doctors looks at poor George and says, I heard in Europe they have this thing called a tracheotomy because you can't breathe. What if I put a little incision here? And the other doctor said, no way, I'm not going to be the one to do that to George. So nobody took the chance to do it. He died peacefully, though he was suffocating in a sense. He died. His last words were, 'tis well. Okay? What else did Washington have? So you should know, all right? He has malaria when he's 17. He has smallpox at 19. TB. All right? Diphtheria when he was 15. He had a bad dysentery problems. He was probably sterile from all these infections, which turns out to be for us not a bad thing, that he was sterile and didn't have children of his own. Because as we didn't want kings, try to remember that today. We didn't want kings, so we didn't want him to be able to pass down his presidency to his children. So it turned out to be fortuitous for us to do this. He had bad teeth, we all know, gold leaf, lead plates, hippopotamus ivory, and his slaves' ivory, okay? During his presidency, he had a bad abscess on his thigh, and in those days, there's no antibiotics, so all you could do is cut into it, let it drain, and thankfully it didn't kill him. This was a strong man. One of the great things he did, he mandated smallpox vaccinations. Smallpox was wiping out half the world, and we were just starting to hear about in Turkey and in Europe that if women who were taking care of cows and milking the cows would get cowpox, which is a mild form of smallpox. They didn't get smallpox. So they said, well, maybe if we inoculate people with a little bit of the smallpox, they'll prevent them from getting smallpox. Washington had the army vaccinated. All right. Amazing. When I talk about Abigail Adams, she did too, her own kids. All right, our next group of presidents, I'll go quickly. All our next presidents, number 2 through number 8, all died of old age. Nothing dramatic. All right, John Quincy had a cerebral hemorrhage. Jackson of heart failure. Van Buren heart failure. They just died of old age. What day did John Adams die? Huh? July 4th. What year? Very good, 1826, because on the 50th anniversary, Jefferson died the same day. An amazing thing. And both of them thought the other guy died first. Case number 2. Okay, students, we're so on the first case. Now, I've got a productive cough. I'm really coughing a lot. I've got chest pain. I have a fever. I'm having difficulty breathing. Doctors come to me and they start trying to put cups on me and blister, give me ipecac to vomit because I'm thinking that I can't breathe. They give me opium and brandy to sedate me, to make me feel comfortable. All right. What's the diagnosis? Where's the problem here? Not COVID quite yet. We'll get to COVID later. Oh, okay, so what's being involved? Lungs, all right? It sounds like, what, I've got a pneumonia, right? So here's a picture of a pneumonia where you see that whitish, you see your heart there, the big, nice picture of your heart right in there. I don't like this beeper. But over here, you see this whiteout? That's evidence of a pneumonia. It should look black. So pneumonias, inflammation of those little air sacs, can be by bacteria, can be by viruses. But this president had a pneumonia and died from his pneumonia. Which president is this? All right. What if I say Tippecanoe? William Henry Harrison, our 9th president. He was also the president the shortest amount of time, only 31 days, because he dies of pneumonia. Why? He's 68 years of age. Oh, that was old back then. He was our oldest president. He wanted to prove to everybody he could still be the hero of Tippecanoe. That's where he was in a battle as a general on March 4th. And in those days, we had inaugurations March 4th. We didn't turn that, it became January later. He goes out to give not only the longest inauguration speech, 2+ hours, 8,445 words. He's caught in the rain. He's caught in the cold. He's dead within a month. I don't know if that inauguration killed him because he also got sick 3 weeks later. And then the theory is, could he have been dying from cholera or something, some other GI? But he was only our president for 31 days. So if Tippecanoe was our shortest acting president, who was our shortest acting vice president? Tippecanoe and Tyler. John Tyler was our next president. He dies of old age and a stroke. Case number 3. Okay. Oh my God, the pain. So I have this severe lower abdominal pain below my belly button. Just think about your anatomy. Below my belly button, radiates to my back. When I pee, and I'm going to use some medical terms, when I pee, I have blood in my urine, or sometimes when it evaporates, they can see crystals. I'm always sick. I'm feeling poorly. I'm eventually become sterile. So what organ am I thinking about right now? Kidneys, very good, or bladder, very good, all right? So which of our presidents had a history of kidney or bladder problems? All right, so we're going to talk about bladder stones or kidney stones. So you see those stones, and for those of us who have had kidney stones, they are painful. Okay, so which president is this one who had these terrible stones? Who is this? So when I give my lecture on our it's called Fail to the Chief, our least known presidents. Okay, you're all highly educated people. Which president is this? Not Franklin Pierce. James K. Polk. Okay? We have about 10 to 12 presidents who none of us remember. And if I show you a picture, you don't know who they are. Okay? Polk is a Democrat. He's only a one-termer. And in fact, it can show you that most of our great presidents have to have 2 terms. And our greatest presidents, impactful, are the ones who have won 2 terms, and they are even followed by their same party. Ronald Reagan. Again, I've told you my politics aren't Reagan's, but he had greatness, and HW followed him. All right? It's very hard to be a great president. I'll have a talk on rankings. A great president if you're only one term. Polk was a successful one-term president. Retrospectively, I bet you our 46th president regrets not saying, I'm just going to be one term, all right, because you could have left with a good feeling about you. Polk said he was going to accomplish 4 things, and he did, and he was done. But what Polk had, he was a very frail child. He had these severe bouts of pain. He was getting stones as a pediatric patient. And with the pediatric patients here, docs here, we didn't see a lot of kidney stones. In peds, you don't see a lot of kidney stones. It's possible. But he had it. When he was 17 years old, he was in so much pain that his father was willing to take him from Tennessee to cross state lines and to go over and get emergency surgery. But in those days, no anesthetic. All right? No anesthetic, and you're about to have a guy cut into your abdomen to get the bladder stones out. All right? The problem with him, and I'll show you a picture, was it probably led to his sterility. He had no children. But his overall health improved greatly. He was probably our hardest working president. He worked himself to death. He died 3 months after his term. He was one of the shortest post-presidency terms. He died of cholera, but he was exhausted when he was done. So imagine, you're having surgery as a kid. You got these 4 people holding you down, putting probably leather in your mouth so you bite down and giving you brandy. But this is the doctor he went to find. I had never heard of him. His name is Dr. Ephraim McDowell. He's an American physician and pioneer surgeon. He is the first physician to successfully remove an ovarian tumor, and he's been called the father of ovarotomy, that's for the ovaries, as well as the founding father of abdominal surgery. So they found this guy, he did the surgery. Polk felt better afterwards, probably became sterile because of the surgery, but grew and it was thriving afterwards. Okay, case number 4. Now we're going in chronological order, so that gives you a hint, because I know you all know your presidents in order, right? Oh, okay, we went Polk, Taylor, Fillmore. We're going to talk about this case, number 4. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. I apologize. I got watery diarrhea. I have fever. I'm vomiting, muscle cramps, dehydration. Electrolytes are out of balance. I'm heading towards death. What do I have? Have what? Could be food poisoning, but even food poisoning seldom kills you. Typhus, but not bad. Unpasteurized milk. That's why I put the picture there. So what did he get? If this is about 1850s in Washington, what do you think he got? Not like typhoid, cholera. Washington, D.C. didn't have paved roads, didn't have sewage system. People got sick in Washington, D.C., including our president. So which president gets cholera and dies? Zachary Taylor. Who get the? I should start keeping points. Very good. Very good. Zachary Taylor. It's Washington, D.C. in 1850. All right, infection of the small intestine. This is what the bacteria look like. It's called Vibrio. And, yes? Yep. Killed. Yeah, we've had a few presidents who they've exhumed their bodies later, and we'll talk about one of them coming up. But to check, was he poisoned? Anyhow, he dies within a few days of getting this cholera, and it was probably the milk, probably the water supply in Washington, D.C. So Zachary Taylor's a president for only a year and a half. He's a Whig. He was of the Whig Party. And his nickname was Old Rough and Ready, but in this case, not so much, right? He wasn't rough or ready on this one. And it's a hot, humid day. They are having a fundraiser for the Washington Monument. They're starting to build the Washington Monument. He's out there. People are drinking the milk, and he dies. He dies after 5 days of having these symptoms. All right. So after Zachary Taylor, he dies in office. Who's his vice president? Okay, Millard Fillmore. That's the last time you get to answer. Oh. Very good, very good. Millard Fillmore. He's got to know his stuff to know it's Millard Fillmore. Millard Fillmore dies of old age later on as a stroke. And don't look under Google. By the way, if any of you want these slides, at the end I'll have my email. Just write me. I'll give you all the slides. Quiz your kids or your grandkids. Did we have an alcoholic president? Not a presidents who like to drink like later on. We've had a few presidents like to have a couple drinks every night. But did we have someone that you would have defined as an alcoholic? All right, who is it? Not Grant, though Grant will talk about alcoholism later, but not anybody else? So the answer is yes, we did have an alcohol president who also happened to have tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is caused by the mycobacterium. Look at that x-ray. You see those little, it looks like little cavities in the on the right lung, so on your left side. And this president had both TB, and every time you see movies about the 1800s and they have handkerchiefs and they're coughing up blood, it's TB. All right? That's what they were having. So this one dies of TB, but was an alcoholic. Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce is probably, they would say, he was our most handsome president. He only went one term, and at the end, his quote was, "There's nothing left but to get drunk." What is sad, it's a terrible, it's sad story. Franklin Pierce might have been a good president. He and his wife had lost 2 children, which was not uncommon. A lot of back then, they lost children. He had a 3rd child whose name was Benny. Benny was 11 years old, and on the way, two months before inauguration, the parents and Benny are on a train. Both the wife and Benny did not want their dad to be the president. They didn't want to go to Washington. He had been there. They didn't like it. The train falls off the tracks, goes down a 20-foot embankment. The only person killed is Benny. And Benny is decapitated, and the mother sees it. So the mother, our first lady, is in black and depression for the rest of the term, and Franklin is also depressed. So he was chronically depressed. He was a drinker beforehand, but once this happened, he drank himself to death. All right. James Buchanan, 77 years old, old age and respiratory failure. What's the most important fact to know about James Buchanan? No, you are not allowed. Who answered that one? I'll have to send you out of the room. All right. But what was the answer? He's our only bachelor president. And people feel, and there's a high likelihood, he was probably our first gay president. His nickname, they used to call, he had a partner, they were Aunt Nancy and Aunt Fancy. So he was a feminine, but his health was okay. Next, this person, and you know this kind of things. You're walking down the street and you look at somebody and say, they look dysmorphic. There's not symmetry to the face. The ears are low. I look at my pediatrician friends. The ears are low. The philtrum isn't there. You sort of say there's something genetically wrong. Okay, that's how doctors do it. They begin to say, and nowadays we can do so much testing. So does this president have a genetic disease? Tumors of the eyes, mouth, lips, tall, lanky person out of proportion, has a disease that might only occur 1 in every 4 million people, was losing weight in the last 5 years. Did he have cancer? Had bad headaches, cold feet, hands. So before I say, who do you think I'm talking about? Lincoln. So the question is, what did Lincoln have? Did he have this very rare disease called multiple endocrine neoplasia? It doesn't matter. It's a disease that affects a lot of your endocrine glands. The endocrine glands are the ones that produce hormones for you. All right? And there are people who have this. The reality, though, most of the people who have this disease die well before they're 50. And Lincoln was already in his mid-50s when he was killed. So that goes against it. So there's questions, does he have it? Number 2, this is what tall, lanky people, they tend to have tumors of their parathyroid, their thyroid, by their pancreas. They're tall and lanky like this. But if he had it, he should have died. And he didn't. So the next question is, I'm going to skip. The next question is, could he have had Marfan syndrome? That's a different syndrome. That tall, lanky people, some basketball players you might see might have it. Extremely flexible joint. They can take their fingers and go all the way back. Very flexible. Their lens of their eyes tends to get misplaced. They have aortic aneurysms. And Lincoln did not have vision problems. Lincoln, as far as we know, didn't have a heart murmur. But we don't know what he had. There has been no DNA testing on Lincoln. Out of respect. Nobody's taking hair, cells, bones. So we don't know what he had. I don't know if it matters. He still was probably our greatest president. But did he have one of these syndromes? Just so you remember, so Lincoln, of course, is number 16, Republican. He lived to 1865. He was our tallest president, 6'3¾", long arms, large hands. He had a bout of malaria when he was young. His business partner, Herndon, his law partner, said he had syphilis. Said he did have it. No one else talks about it. He was depressed. He also had plenty of reasons to be depressed. He lost 3 sons. One he didn't, he had lost 3 young sons. Robert, Todd, Lincoln lived. So was he in depression a lot, grief? He had premature aging, but to be fair, look at any president we've ever had. You look at Obama, when he started, when he ended, right? Yeah. Truly, being a president probably doubles your amount of time. So if you're 4 years president, it's like 8 years of your aging. And if you're 8 years, it's like 16. So to say that he had premature aging, look what he went through. He was a very strong man. He used to win contests as a young man with wrestling and with holding out an axe for the longest amount. Was he dying of cancer? No one knows. He also had a very high voice, high-pitched voice. That when people talk about listening to him, the words were great, but how he said them was a little high-pitched, but no DNA testing on Lincoln. Andrew Johnson followed him. He died of a stroke. All right, case number 3, students. Doc, these damn cigars, my mouth is killing me. It's sore. I can't swallow. I'm losing weight. I get night sweats. I'm falling apart. What do I have? And look at that lesion in the back of my throat. Okay, you see that whitish thing in there? Let's see if I can get this right there. Okay, that's cancer. This is oral cancer. And which president dies of this oral cancer? Grant. Why? Why? That's the hint. Those cigars, right? Here's Ulysses S. Grant, president for 8 years, Republican. He lived till 1885. So he lived 8 years after his second term. He even contemplated running again, because in those days you could go for more than 2 terms. All right. He smoked or chewed over a dozen to 20 cigars a day. Every day of his life as an adult. He was a heavy binge drinker. He would go months without drinking, and when the battles were going on, he would be sober as could be. He had troubles. He could have 1 drink and he'd be drunk. All right. Because Americans knew he loved cigars, they sent him 10,000 boxes of cigars. But he slowly developed symptoms after his presidency. He is broke. In those days, we didn't give our presidents a pension. Who was the first president to get a pension? Huh? Oh, you're good. Truman. Truman was our first president. So here, back then, no money. He's broke. And he says, I'm going to write some memoirs. And the publishers hardly wanted to give him any money. So Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, backed him up and gave him a couple amount to about $600,000 in today's dollars. Enough to support his wife for the rest of her life because he knew he was dying. So he died of oral cancer. And if you ever want to read, in 30 years, I have been reading a biography of every president in chronological order, a half hour every day. I'm on my 5th cycle after 30 years, okay? But I don't read memoirs or autobiographies because they tend to be really biased. But if you ever want to read a memoir of a president, his is the best one ever. Grant has the greatest memoirs, okay? He also had malaria in 1858. He had migraines. Was he an alcoholic? Well, there were times when he drank, he couldn't function. So he might, but I told most of the time he was not drinking. Heart disease at 70, Rutherford B. Hayes. Now, are any of you watching Death by Lightning? Okay, I'll talk about it in a second. Because if you're not, you should. It's only 4 episodes and it's the whole story. But here it is. This is the question. I should have sued my doctors. Why? I'm shot in the back on an assassination attempt. I get shot back, one in the shoulder and one right through my back, heading towards my left front, okay? I'm on the ground. The doctors who don't wash their hands, who don't sterilize their probes, don't forget this is still the 1800s, and are sticking their finger in there trying to find the bullet, all right? And they're trying and trying. What is sad is, and if you watch the movie, what's sad is, it was known that bacteria and germs cause infections in Europe. The next time you drink Listerine, think of Dr. Lister. Lister was the one who said germs cause these infections. But American doctors were too arrogant, and we said, we can't see these things. That can't be true. And so the doctors kept poking their fingers and poking their fingers. He got septic, he got abscesses, and it took him 80 days to die. All right? A miserable death. Who was the assassin? Charles Gusteau. This is a picture of him. He thought, because he supported this president, after he got elected, he said, I want to be the ambassador to Vienna or the ambassador to Paris. This guy was crazy. And that's why the movie's so good. He says, give me my office, and if you don't give me my office, it's your life. So the bullet goes from the back towards the front, back through the front. It didn't hit any specific organ. If they had not done anything, he may have lived just with a bullet inside of him. Okay? But they kept mucking around, and so he gets eventually infected and septic and dies. So much so that we tried to feed President Garfield. They tried to feed him rectally. He couldn't eat. And there was no air conditioning in the White House in those days. They used to bring in ice. And it was a terrible death, just a terrible death. So Gusteau, Charles Gusteau, said, I didn't kill the president. The physicians killed him. And he's right. He attempted to kill him, but he died because of the malpractice in those days. Garfield. The great book that the movie is made after, the great book is called Destiny of the Republic. The Madness, Medicine, and Murder of President Garfield. Candace Millard. If you see any books she wrote River of Doubt on Teddy Roosevelt. She's a great writer. So great book, much more detail in the movie. Oh, I thought I had that. No. So the movie is called Death by Lightning. It's on Netflix right now. It is the #1 movie being watched. It's a 4-part thing. It's well done. So you don't have to read the book. Go ahead. Huh? Death by Lightning. I had no idea why. Wait, but you have to watch the show to figure out. There is a quote in the show as to explain why death by lightning. All right. Next, doctor, I feel so weak. I'm weak. I've got swelling of my legs. If I check my urine, I'm losing protein. My blood pressure is high. I've got heart disease. I'm weak. I'm lethargic. What disease am I looking at? And don't go to a WebMD here. What? That's my chart. So what's going on in this patient? High blood pressure. What else? Why would swelling of the legs? Why do you get swelling of your legs? Why do we always check? Your heart's not working, right? Because the pump's not working. Okay, but this person's pump was working. What else gives you swelling of the legs? Not so much diabetes. You lose weight with it. Let's go kidneys. If your kidneys don't function well and you pour out protein into your urine, you need that protein in your blood to maintain a pressure. And if you don't have it, you get swollen. You start getting swollen. So first of all, you think of your heart, but then your kidneys. So which president did we have This president had a disease called Bright's disease. We don't call it that anymore. All right. It's nephritis, inflammation of your kidneys. So the kidney on the left is normal. It looks nice and pink and open. And the one on the right is inflamed and swollen, sort of like your epiglottis. Medicine's actually pretty simple. Normal tissue should be pink. When you're infected or inflamed, it turns dark red, and it gives you... And as a GI doc, that's true too. All right, which president had this disease? This is one of those presidents you won't know. Chester Arthur, when they do surveys, he's our least known president, okay? But when you watch the movie, you will see a lot of Chester Arthur, and you're going to say, how did they ever let this man be president? He was sort of put in there, sort of in those days, he's from New York, let's put him in there, we'll get votes from New York. But Chester Arthur had a lavish lifestyle. He had over 80 pairs of pants. And this is in the 1880s and things, 80 pairs of pants. He ate, smoked, and drank a lot. He was obese. He weighed 220 pounds. He had gallstones. He had a mild case of malaria. He had heart problems. He was showing evidence of mental changes. But the public didn't know any of this. And he burns all his personal papers. He turns out to be a hero, though, in American history. This was a man who lived on graft with Senator Roscoe Conklin in New York. He was in charge of the Port Authority in New York, and he got all the money under the table. But once he became president, after Garfield dies, he turns around. And you can thank, and sometimes I worry about it now, the civil service, you can thank Arthur. Because prior to that, you got your jobs based on if you knew somebody. He said, no, we're going to do it on merit. And it was because of Chester Arthur we do that. Okay? Next case. Oh, Doc, my mouth hurts. The top of my mouth hurts. It's painful. I can't swallow much. It just hurts. All right, I'm giving you a hint here because this is the molar. This is the actual palate mold of this president. So what do you think this could have been? What would cause such a divot in the top of your palate? We already had one cancer, another cancer, okay? But which president? This one, smoking and drinking a lot, gets a bump on the roof of his mouth. It hurts to swallow, soreness. What is it? This president has cancer on the roof of the mouth. It looked like a piece of cauliflower, a verrucous it's called in medicine. So he's got this sort of tissue coming down the top of his palate. All right, none of us know about it. None of us. And life went on. We didn't know everything about our presidents, right? And we're going through a depression at the time. So this president says, I don't want the public to know I need to have a surgery. He secretly goes and rents a yacht, gets his own surgeons. His yacht is owned by a man named Captain Benedict. So the next time you have Eggs Benedict, it's after that guy, a wealthy man. And so he offers the boat to this president. The guy, he recruits his own doctors, a Dr. William Williams Keene. By this time, we have some anesthesia. They give him nitrous oxide and ether. They take out the cancer. He has a mustache, so we can't tell. And they put a mold inside to help. The trouble is, within a month, it came back again. They did it again. So they tell the public he's on a fishing trip. Because in those days, our presidents, only recently, in those days, presidents could go away for weeks. And it didn't seem to bother anybody, right? Now, if you go anywhere, they know exactly, right? He needed a second operation. They make a prosthesis for his mouth. Nobody knows that this has happened. It's in 1893. No one knows till 1917. You got that one wrong. No. Grover Cleveland. You got it right. I scared you there. Yeah. Grover Cleveland. So Grover Cleveland was a trivia question. When I do a course on trivia, he used to be the trivia question. Like, we've had 46 presidents, but only 45 men. Well, now we have 47 presidents and still 45 men, because he and Trump are the only two that had non-consecutive terms. Cleveland was morbidly obese, a BMI of 41. All right, most of you know your BMI shouldn't be anything above 25 or 26. All right, obstructive sleep apnea, he snored, he had gout, hypertension, and bladder stones. Good story, though. The President is a Sick Man by Matthew Algeo. You read the story of how this was hidden from us. Next group of presidents, Harrison, McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, Taft, all died. McKinley's assassinated. Next, all right, now most of us can relate, will know something. Here, my arm feels weak and funny. I get bad headaches, stomach aches. I've lost the strength in one of my arms for a couple days. I've got high blood pressure, I've lost vision in one of my eyes for a couple days. I can't find words. And oh, by the way, I get the Spanish flu. Who is this? Very good. What does he have? He has a stroke. A stroke, you have two main reasons you get strokes in your brain. Either a vessel bursts, like on the left, or a clot occurs. And then blood supply doesn't go to your brain, and you get a stroke depending on what region of the brain it affects. So Woodrow Wilson has a stroke, and we're talking a big one. He had already had symptoms. He's our president from 1913 to 21. If you go back, in April of 1913, he has right arm weakness. In May of 1914, he has abnormal arteries in the back of his eye. Next time you go to your ophthalmologist, ask them, how do my blood vessels look? Do I look healthy? Because that's the one doctor that can look at your vessels and see them in the back of your eye. I don't care. My vision isn't as good. Just tell me my arteries look good. All right? So they looked at the back of his eyes, and his arteries did not look good. He gets weakness in the right hand in May 15. He goes to Paris in 1917 to sign the Treaty of Versailles and to start the League of Nations. And he is a hero, a true hero in Europe. But that was the time of the Spanish flu, the huge pandemic that killed millions of people. All right, he gets it. And he's in bed, and he's bedridden for 10 days. He is really sick. In fact, so much so that people think his cognition wasn't as good because of the Spanish flu, and he gave things away for the treaty within the League of Nations. He comes back to the United States. He comes to the Senate. This was a very arrogant president, very arrogant. And he said to the Senate, you need to sign the League of Nations. And the Senate said, nope. We're not going to. In those days, Congress had some cojones. We said, no, we're not. He said, yes, you are. They said, no, we're not. Henry Cabot Lodge Sr. was the Republican and said, we're not going to. So Woodrow Wilson says, I'm going to go all over America. I'm going to travel all over America and convince all the population to go with what I say. He goes, he's exhausted. He has a major stroke. Major stroke. Right. His first stroke might have been in 1896. So, president dangerously ill. That's about what we knew. That was it. And that's all the stuff that came out. Have we ever had a first lady be president? A woman president? Edith Galt Wilson. Remember that name. She was his wife, his second wife, for 18 months. 18 months. He's in the White House. We're not seeing him. We're not hearing from him. The only time is she would let him take pictures of his right side because it was the left side that had his stroke. And so we didn't know. Only his chief of staff and his wife were the only ones. And she said she would filter his papers. So she would only show him things that she thought were necessary for him to sign. For 18 months, this woman ran our government. Even the vice president didn't know what was going on. Here's a picture of her wanting to show, well, yes, the world here, Woodrow Wilson is very active. All right. The fact is, as a society, we did not know how bad this president was. And nevertheless, we go on. We did go on. Should we have known? Yes. We should have known that a president had that major of a stroke. Next president, all right. Did the first lady kill him? All right. I've got hypertension, type 2 diabetes. I'm short of breath. I get chest pain. Can't play 18 holes of golf, so I'll fake it. I'll explain that in a minute. Slept while sitting up with pillows. Dies in his sleep. What is wrong with this guy? What organ is involved? Heart. Chest pain, can't breathe, right? He has heart disease. Who is it? Harding. President Harding dies suddenly, stroke of apoplexy. In those days, apoplexy was the same as stroke. That was the word for stroke, all right? They thought he had a stroke. It's much more likely he died of a heart attack. When you get swollen legs, if the pump doesn't work, It'll back up and you get swollen legs. There are different reasons the pump doesn't work. The wall can be too thick or it can be too dilated. There's all kinds of reasons why. But he had all the symptoms of heart failure: shortness of breath, tiredness, can't exercise, swelling of the legs. He fooled the press. He went to Alaska. He was our first president to go visit Alaska. Then he's coming down the West Coast. He's in San Francisco, plays golf, but he can't play golf, so he plays the last 3 holes. So it makes the press think he played 18 holes. But he dies in his sleep. Nevertheless, why would I have said, did his wife kill him? All right, Warren Harding is the equivalent back then of Joe Biden today. We had just come out of the war, World War I. We had just come out of the pandemic. The country was tired, exhausted. We just want normalcy. Warren Harding ran on, I'm just going to bring normal back. Sort of like Biden was trying to imply, I just want to bring normal back. Let's go back to, some of these things that we wouldn't do now. But so Warren Harding was like that, was not qualified to be president. But why would I say, did his wife kill him? All right. So I told you he had all these diabetes, sleeps with pillows. He was taking digitalis, which was to help his heart pump. Did he die of food poisoning? Did he have an MI? Or was he murdered? So the question is, why would his wife murder him? She did not allow an autopsy. So they all kept thinking, why didn't she allow an autopsy? She wanted him buried quickly. Why should she have wanted to kill him? He had 2 major affairs in his life. Affair number 1 was with his best friend's, next door neighbor best friend's wife. All right, they had an affair in Ohio. She may have turned out to be a spy for the Germans, but they had a long-term affair, and she bribed, as he's running for president, she bribes him and extorts him and says, you have to pay me. And she was getting paid close to like $7,000 a year in those days, so let's say $100,000 a year just to keep her mouth shut. Then he had a second, which is a little more disgusting. An adolescent girl in his neighborhood in Ohio would come over to the house, and she would sit on his lap, Uncle Warren, and this young woman, he brings her to Washington, D.C., and he's doing as much stooping as Bill Clinton, and she gets pregnant, has a child. She claims it's his. The whole country says, oh, you're a gold digger. It's not theirs. Of course, it turned out to be his. All right, and it took 100 years before we found out it was true with DNA testing, and finally, 100 years after he's been president, they opened up his letters. They opened up all his letters to the girlfriends, and this man used more different words to describe your genitalia than you cannot believe what this is. So anyhow, Warren Harding. Coolidge dies of heart failure, Hoover, colon cancer. Next case, 63 years old when he dies, hypertension, smoked more than a pack per day, had a few cocktails every night, all right? Has heart disease, shortness of breath, high blood pressure, much higher than 186. One doctor wanted to give him digitalis to help his heart. Another said no. And then he says, I have terrible headaches. What does he die of? Cerebral hemorrhage. Which president now? FDR's. He's in Warm Springs, Georgia. Who is he with when he's in Warm Springs? Is he with Eleanor? Who's he with? Lucy Mercer. Very good. So in 2 weeks at LIR, I'm teaching on scandals. So we'll talk about Lucy Mercer. Lucy Mercer was a woman he had an affair with in 1919. She was the secretary, Eleanor's secretary. He has an affair with her. Eleanor finds out. He says, well, I won't see her again. Of course, Lucy Mercer's at Warm Springs. And his daughter, FDR's daughter, Anne, brought her there. And Eleanor was furious when she learned about it. So here's a picture of him when he's a young man, very handsome. All right, he's in his 50s here. 63 years old. Look at him. 63 years old. As a country, we knew he wasn't healthy, but we still voted for him for his 4th term. All right? Look at him. He had already lost like 15 to 20 pounds. He was always cold. He always wore sort of these capes over him. He had polio at 39 years of age. Only 1% of adults get paralyzed with polio. Where in kids, thankfully we don't have to see it, hopefully, as long as we still vaccinate our kids, kids had a much higher rate. So he was a rare person to get it. He was a heavy smoker, drinking daily. Did he have a melanoma? Now, you can't see it on this picture, but anytime you see pictures of Franklin Roosevelt in the future, look above his left eye. You see sort of a little darkening. If I'm going to go back, look there. All right. I don't know if he had a melanoma and it was removed, but that may be one of the things. He had iron deficiency anemia because he paralyzed. He had terrible hemorrhoids. He bled a lot. All right. And one of the weaknesses of our American health system and presidents is we allow the president to pick who their doctors are going to be. They pick their friends, or they pick somebody who's going to support them. And they end up being, the first rule in medicine, you don't take care of your family, you don't take care of your friends, because you can't be objective. And his doctors weren't objective. They didn't know they kept denying how bad he was. His daughter seeing him thinks, oh my God, look at my father. He's falling apart. She got him on a cardiologist from Mass General, and he started making him cut back on smoking, on drinking, on wrestling, and putting him on meds, but it was too late. Truman dies of old age at 88. Now, this president was a lot sicker than we knew. All right, a smoker, 4 packs per day. Chest pain, shortness of breath, exhausted, couldn't play golf. So what's wrong with this part of him? What part? Lung or heart, okay? The chest pain was with the heart. Second issue, I've got terrible abdominal pain, diarrhea, weight loss. I get arthritis. What could I be having? Now, this is a GI question. So this one, he has Crohn's disease. So much so that he had to have bowel removed during his presidency, had an ostomy for a while during his presidency, okay? Third issue, all of a sudden he can't finish sentences. He has multiple verbal gaffes. What is going on with that one? Like before, stroke, right? So, heart attack, had 13 heart attacks in his life. The day he has his first heart attack, and he smokes 4 packs per day, he goes cold turkey. Never smoked after his first heart attack. Crohn's disease affects different parts of your GI tract. Eisenhower. How many of us, now I was a little kid, but how many of us knew how sick he was? Truly. Bad heart attacks, bad Crohn's disease. All right. First MI is in 55. And in November of 57, so we're talking 4 years before he's done, he has a stroke. He can't talk for weeks. He has a middle cerebral artery, all right? Oh, look at that. Just happen to have a picture. A middle cerebral artery, this is this artery right here that supplies the blood to what's called Wernicke's speech area. It's a part of your brain where speech comes from. That's where his stroke was. He was still president. He had 4 more years to be president. Do you know the story about the guy wakes up in coma and they said, who's president? And he said, oh, that ass Nixon? Yeah. Well, Nixon would have been president, but in those days we said, oh, let him go rest and he'll be fine. Eisenhower could understand things. He just had no ability to talk for weeks, all right? Did it matter in your lifetime? We said, yes, we should know everything about it, but sometimes we don't know and maybe it doesn't matter. All right, I'm going to move faster here. All right, he was unable to communicate for several days and even weeks of rest. And he had to miss NATO summits and things like that. Next, oh my God, was this a sick young man? All right, a sickly child, multiple hospitalizations, abdominal pain, diarrhea, spastic colitis. Who is it going to be? Anemia, bad back. We're going in chronological order, so who's this? Kennedy, a very sick man who had autoimmune, that's where your own body attacks itself. So your immune system, autoimmune, polyendocrine, so multiple hormonal glands were affected syndrome. But they didn't know that in the beginning when he was a young kid. It affects, now notice that woman's hair. Doesn't it look sort of like Kennedy's hair and the dark palms? Kennedy always had a dark look to him. He always looked tan, all right? Well, it was part of the disease. He was a sickly child. He had colitis. He had anemia. He had Addison's disease. There's a little gland on top of your kidneys, the adrenal on the kidneys, that produce your cortisol. So they're the ones when you're stressed, you need cortisol. But if it doesn't function, you don't produce cortisol and you can't, your body sort of falls apart. The problem is we, in those days, used to give out steroids like candy. Now, if any of you would come to me if I'm a doc, I would know 40 milligrams of prednisone. I know a certain amount and you taper and things like that. But in those days, we didn't know. So they'd give him 100 milligrams, 200 milligrams as a kid. And that while he was getting it, that was shutting his adrenals down. Because if you're getting the steroid, your body doesn't have to make it. It's a feedback. Or your bones get weak. So he had all these problems. As he got as president, the man was on a polypharmacy. He was on many drugs. And he had a doctor who gave him many drugs. He was also receiving testosterone and also had hypothyroidism. Oops, sorry, wrong. So adrenal insufficiency. So you can't respond. And if people are adrenal insufficient and they go for surgery, we have to give them steroids during the surgery because their body doesn't produce it and your blood pressure will drop. All right, he had steroid use for colitis. He had ulcers, back pain, sexually transmitted diseases, and chronic prostatitis. Dr. Janet Travell, a woman physician, gave him all these drugs: cortisone, Lamodal, paregoric, phenobarbital, testosterone, trazodone, amphetamines, barbiturates. He was on all these drugs while he was president. And we all thought he was the greatest. I don't know. He could have got hit by a truck. With this kind of history, he would not have been living to 70 or 80 years of age. Okay? It didn't slow down his sex life, by the way. And when I do scandals. So let's go quickly now. LBJ, a heart attack at 66. Jimmy Carter recently died of melanoma. Gerald Ford, cardiovascular disease at 93. And who's in yellow? I'm colorblind. I can't even read that. Can you read it? Nixon, 81. Okay. Did we miss the early signs? And some of you brought it up early. Let's talk about this case, doctors. This patient has lost a lot of blood volume after a major event. In fact, half of the blood volume had to be replaced. Has a collapsed lung but doesn't even know it. Took 5 to 7 months to recover. Starts having mental lapses, though he is older. Cognitive gaps, forgetful. Who am I talking about? Reagan. Just quick, and I'm a GI doctor, not a neurologist. And I'm peds, so I never had to deal with cases of dementia or Alzheimer's. Now that I'm my age, I worry about it, right? Healthy brain on the left, Alzheimer's, shrunken brain on the right. If you want to know, I'm always confused. People say, I have Alzheimer's, I have dementia, which is which? So for you, I looked it up. Nice little umbrella. Dementia is the overriding problem, and there are different causes of dementia. Alzheimer is the most common, that's 70%. But you can have it from blood vessels. You can have it one right in the front. The one you might once in a while hear Lewy body, all right? But Alzheimer is the one that's 60 to 70% of dementia. So dementia is overriding, so that helped me. So why? Who has it? Reagan, progressive memory problems, neurodegenerative disease. He needed hearing aids. Hearing aids are very important for your cognition. If you have bad hearing, you need hearing aids because that's one of the things that makes your cognition go down. Can't remember recent events. He started having problems with language. He was disoriented, started having mood swings, loss of motivation, self-neglect. Also remember, he had colon cancer. It was the first time that which amendment came into place? 25. The president says, I'm going to be under anesthetic for a few hours. HW is president. So this was the first time they did that, and he has a stage B colon cancer. He also had Dupuytren's contracture. You see that commercial? That's not a major deal, but he had that too. If you want to read a good book that just came out within the last year on Reagan, Max Boot, it was very good. All right, next family, doctors. Look at those eyes. What do we call those eyes? Huh? Graves, very good. And what's the medical term for those eyes, though? Exophthalmos. It's where you're pushing out your eyes. Patients who have low thyroid get fat pads behind their eyeballs. They get thicker, and it pushes the eyeballs out. All right? So this is called Graves' disease. It affects, but could this all be in one family? Which first lady has Graves' disease? Barbara Bush. Barbara Pierce Bush. Why is she Pierce? She's related to Franklin Pierce. 14. Anyhow, all in the family, but I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about the husband. This husband, her husband, has an ulcer in 1950, arthritis, glaucoma, atrial fibrillation, chest pains when he's out running at Camp David. He becomes hypothyroid. If you remember that time he puked in Japan, that wasn't a chronic illness. He probably had bad sushi. Okay? So HW, all of these things. But he also turns out to have Graves' disease. He's got it, Barbara's got it, and the dog has it. I'm not kidding. There was a 1 in 300 million chance. The Secret Service was checking the water. They couldn't believe the chances that the husband, wife, and a dog would all have it. Okay. All right, we're almost done. Case number 18. Now you're really doctors, all right? I can't smell. I can't taste. I'm coughing like crazy, right? All right, I'm fatigued. I've got fever. I've got abdominal cramps. What do I got? COVID. Think of how our life has been so screwed up by that bug. And it's a bad one. And we're going to have others. They're coming, all right? But I can't taste my smell of my food or taste my food. Which president? Trump. All right, COVID-19. Why is it called 19? It came in 2019, okay? So he's at that time 74 years old, obese, whether he believes it or not. Severe shortness of breath. They rushed him. They rushed him to the intensive care unit of Walter Reed. I mean, and they wanted to intubate him. It was that bad. And he refused. And so instead, he got mega doses of steroids. He also got remdesivir, monoclonal antibodies. He got everything. I promise the one thing he didn't get bleach in his veins. He got the medicine that works, okay? The only other problem is he got out of there. They got him out of there, and if you remember, he's leaving the hospital. He's up on the White House thing. He takes off his mask. I just wanted to keep that mask on. You've just been sick. All right. And there was another time they rushed him to Walter Reed, and they said he was getting a physical. Who gets rushed in the middle of the night for a physical exam? All right. Now look at his. I meant it. We've got to come up with a system where you have some kind of neutral doctor to evaluate it. I'm embarrassed. The guy on the left, Dr. Harold Bornstein, a gastroenterologist, that's his doctor. His father was Trump's father's doctor, okay? And then later he goes to Ronnie Jackson, who goes into politics. You can't read it but this is the letter that Bornstein wrote, that we believe Trump actually wrote the letter, who says, if elected, Mr. Trump, I can state unequivocally, will be the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency. Yeah, unbelievable, okay? Case number 19, throat clearing. Gait is a little funny. Parkinson's, has AFib, a lot of us do at our age. He's on Crestor. That's okay. A lot of us are on that. He has reflux, gastroesophageal reflux. He constantly was clearing his throat as he got older. And that's from reflux, acid reflux, okay? He has a peripheral neuropathy, which, at his feet. So was he walking like a Parkinson's patient because of Parkinson's or because he had neuropathy? All right, who knows? And he also had basal cell carcinoma of his skin. And we'll talk a second more, right? So Joe Biden, our dilemma is, did he manifest signs of dementia and we weren't as aware of it, and only a few people? Did the people who surrounded him sort of say he's going to be up we'll start at 10 and be done at 2. So those people who interacted with him said, he seems fine. But they weren't with him at night or early in the morning. Did Jill, when I talk about first ladies, did Jill overprotect him for whatever reason she might have had her own motivation? So the fact is, as of 2024, there was no public evidence of a medical report confirming that he had dementia or degenerative neurological conditions. They had a Parkinson's doctor from Walter Reed come into the White House 9 times. And so they said, why would this guy? He said, well, he's checking out everybody. And they kept checking for him if he had Parkinson's. But they kept saying no, all right? But in the last year, a book comes out by Jake Tapper, President Biden's Decline, Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again. Again, it should be fact-checked and go through it and things like that. But I have a best friend who's a neurologist, and even 3 years ago, he was saying, I asked him, is that Parkinson's? And he said, it's Parkinson's. He thought his shuffle was Parkinson's. It was hard because his affect on his face looked flat, but he also has had plastic surgery. And so it's hard to know. But the fact is, as a country, should we have known? This one, yes, right? Because, and an election coming up. And it's not like saying, do you have erectile dysfunction? This is a question is your cognition not good? And who's going to be the one to assess you? If you get your own friends' doctors, which all our presidents did, all of them do, they're going to look for the best, all right? Go ahead. Chance what? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it could have been Lewy body, but we won't know till they do an autopsy someday, okay? And so it wasn't a cover-up. And in the last year, the poor guy, it's bad enough. His life has been miserable since he lost the election, since the terrible debate he did. And on top of it, he now has metastatic prostate cancer. Evidence-based medicine would say that when you're in your 70s, a man does not need to have their PSA tested because prostate is a slow-growing cancer. But God, he's the president of the United States. Take the damn test, because it was 10 years since his test. And then by that time, he's already got metastatic disease. So he's having radiation. They'll put him on a testosterone blocker. He'll age even more rapidly right now. But he may not die from the cancer. They can slow it down enough that he'll die from other things. All right. Finally, now we have President 47. This is his doctor now. He got rid of Bornstein. I don't even know if Bornstein's still alive. And the other guy is from Texas. He's already in the Congress. All right. This man is Captain Sean Barbabella. He said at 78 years of age, the oldest U.S. president to begin a second term, he said Trump is in excellent health and fully fit to serve as commander-in-chief. All right, this is a Navy emergency room physician. He's robust, cardiac, pulmonary, neurological, and general physical function, and fully capable of doing it. I may believe him. He's a very active president. I don't know how he's always up at 2 in the morning and 3 in the morning, and what his diet is, and how he eats. He likes McDonald's and stuff, but so far he's doing it. But he also is ill. All right, he's got cankles. He's got swollen ankles, right? And that wasn't because his heart was bad, his lung was bad, or kidneys. It's his veins. We have little valves that have push blood back up. His are not working so well. So many of us have varicose veins. They start failing. You don't return. So his blood supply doesn't come back well from his feet. He gets swollen. His hand gets bruised. But all of ours, right? Do any of you, aren't you amazed? Like, how the hell did I get this bruise? Where did it come from? Well, your skin gets thinner, and the vasculature is fine, but your skin gets thinner, and you get the bruise. So here, our president covering him up because he's vain, and he's got the swollen ankles. It's called chronic venous insufficiency, benign if you're over 70, but they ruled out deep vein clots, heart failure, and arterial disease. But is he showing signs of dementia? For those of you who support him and wanted to always jump on Biden saying, look, are we consistent intellectually to say, is he showing signs? He makes gaffes. He calls Albania Armenia. You know, he makes mistakes. And is he showing signs? He admits himself. Next time you watch him going downstairs, he watches himself because he does not want to trip, you know. And he's jealous of Obama. Obama used to just hop down the plane. So is he showing it? But any speculation about a politician's mental fitness is common, but without direct evaluation and disclosure, we shouldn't make our own diagnosis. And there's a rule, I think I have this last, well, I'm not. There is a rule called the Goldwater rule. Why was there a Goldwater rule? What were we afraid of with Barry Goldwater? What was he going to do? Push the button. We were worried that he was going to push the button. As you remember, when I do a talk on campaigns, I've got that commercial with Daisy, and then the atomic bomb goes off and it looks in her eye. Well, we were worried about Goldwater, and psychiatrists and psychologists were conveying that he's crazy, he's mentally ill. And then, so the American Psychiatric Association said no more. A certified psychiatrist, psychologist, social worker, mental health person cannot be making diagnoses just by watching on TV. Unless you're the person doing the actual exam, you shouldn't do it. Trump is very proud that he can do the Montreal cognitive test. You've all had it, right? You have to name 3 animals, a zebra, an elephant, a lion. You have to draw a clock that says 10 to 1. We're worried about him on that one, all right? So every time he says, I got a perfect score, you go, so what? Okay, all right. So I want to thank you. I went a little over. If any of you want slides, just you can email me at pkibort@gmail.com or text me and just say you went to this talk and you would like my slides. I'll send them to you. And my poor wife, I drive her crazy. Those are all my bobbleheads. I have a bobblehead of every president in my study at home. All right. Thank you very much. Oh, any questions? Yes. What about Clinton? Question about Clinton. No, when I get to scandals. No, Clinton actually during his, was overweight, but he had his heart attack after his presidency, and he became a vegan. If you look at him now, he looks so skinny. He became a vegan, so he was scared, but it was afterwards. All right, good. Go ahead. Presidential candidates like Humphrey? Well, did we know Humphrey had bladder cancer? No, we didn't know. He hadn't gotten it yet. So he did. No, he hadn't gotten it yet. Yeah. Go ahead. About Obama? Obama was relatively healthy other than his smoking. He would, and Michelle wanted him to quit, and he'd sneak up. But he's relatively healthy. He's a young man, too, still. So, all right, good. You might. Yeah, I agree. So Biden was pretty evident here. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you.
you.